Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Fan Fiction Reading Show. My name is Jen Boss Jr., but y'all can call me Matt. And today we have, I think, 3 guests. We have my friend Kirsten. You guys have heard her fan fictions, The Grim Girl. We have 2 other people. Introduce yourself.
Most people call me Sky, but you can just call me the Rose Boy. Because
the Rose Boy.
The Rose Boy. I play Tuxedo Mask on a fandom, and I have to play the jerk of the crew. Yay me.
Ooh, that's always fun.
I think you're a nice jerk. There's a difference between a jerk and a nice jerk. You're the nice kind of jerk.
Thanks for the compliments.
I'm Maya, by the way.
So today, because I have the cast of a Sailor Moon fandub, we decided to read a Sailor Moon fanfiction, specifically a Sailor Moon and Teen Titans crossover. And
oh boy, where have we seen this before?
Oh, that's gonna end horribly.
Disclaimer: the Sailor Moon manga and all the variants thereof, including the Army animes, musicals, and live-action series.
Did you seriously say armies?
Yes, the Sailor Moon armies. All of the armies.
What army has the ragtag team of misfits? Dragging my favorite enemy in the mud here.
It's just an army of everyone cosplaying as Sailor Moon, and then the real Sailor Moon is just right there. He's like, ah, with the power of truth and love or whatever, we will all destroy you. And then they just start charging.
Why do I see that happening at a Comic-Con?
I just imagine there are like some girls that actually kind of look like her. There are girls wearing wigs, and then there are just like big burly men doing the cosplay. That would be a Sailor Moon army. Teen Titans, on the other hand, belongs to DC Comics.
Comic?
You can tell it's 11 p.m. and I've been at school all day. All right. Time to throw in the narrator voice. A running Usagi finally slowed down at the entrance of the Hikawa Shrine, throwing open the doors to the room that the meetings of the Senshi were usually held in. Releasing a breath, she slowly walked into the room, her face slightly red from her frantic sprint from her house to the temple. Question, does she have like a piece of toast with some jelly in her mouth? I think that's a normal thing that happens in anime, right?
I'm sorry, girls.
The blonde apologized.
I love it.
Canon, make that canon. Bowing deeply before she straightened to walk closer to the group.
What's wrong?
She finally asked, her expression turning dead serious.
What's the meaning about? Is it a new enemy?
The 4 guardians were strangely silent. Even the 2 lunar felines, who were watching the conversation from a distance, didn't speak a word, only sharing short, knowing glances between the advisors. They're sharing knowing glances? Okay. The glances.
Faces, it's like, okay, Almi, you have this face, and Jupiter, give me this face. Okay.
Yeah, they pre-planned this. Usagi felt fear stare. Ah.
They're staring into your fear.
They're staring
Stare
into
into your fear, embrace it, and now kill it. Raise your fear like it's a kitten, and now kill it.
Usagi felt fear stir in her heart. She really didn't need another problem to deal with alongside the strange twinges of darker magic she occasionally felt reaching out to her.
Girls?
She stammered out, her voice slightly shaking.
Oh, it's Amy's. It's Amy's.
It's not about the enemy, Usagi-chan.
Yes! Sorry.
Typical fanboyism at its finest.
Amy's quiet voice cut through the silence, not the silent. I was hoping there would be bad grammar in the actual fanfiction itself, but apparently I'm creating that myself, so good for me.
Great job.
Thank you. Amy's quiet voice cut through the silence like a hot knife through butter.
Then what's the matter?
Usagi ventured, uncertainty in her tone. The enemy, Usagi noted silently. That meant there was a new threat. She swallowed nervously.
What could she be swallowing? Her own saliva or the stuff she just took from Mamoru?
No,
Oh
it's
my
her
God.
fear. It's the fear that was stared into her.
Oh, right. The kitten you failed
Yep.
to raise.
Yep, there you go. Okay.
It's been a team decision, Usagi-chan.
Minako began gently.
We have been discussing this for a while, and we finally made a choice. The four of us.
The blonde senshi paused to gesture around to the four guardians, who all bowed their heads, barring the aloof Rei almost as if they were ashamed of facing her.
Have decided that.
Get on with it, Venus.
Rei said sharply, her face of delicate, aristocratic features and cold and stoic.
Don't drag it on for more than needed. We made a decision, now spit it out.
Fine.
Minako snapped, her blue eyes lighting up in irritation.
Usagi-chan, it pains me to say this, but
The reincarnation of the Venetian... Venetian... Is that supposed to be like a Venus?
I don't even think it's a word.
I didn't know that was a word.
That's a word? Wait, I'm gonna put this into fucking Google. Let's see. Relating to or characteristic of the planet Venus. That's an adjective. Noun, a hypothetical or fictional inhabitant of the planet Venus.
Okay.
How do you pronounce this? How do you pronounce this?
Venusian.
Oh, okay. It's Venusian. 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 Hey, you learn something new every day. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's the first thing I've learned today. Even though I was at school all day. The reincarnation of the Venusian princess swallowed and looked at the others, who all returned her with a pitiful glance, only Rei having her eyes narrowed.
You're off the team. It's for your own protection.
What?
Usagi stuttered, stunned by the other blonde's words.
Why?
It's just because you can't take care of yourself during a fight.
Makoto tried to explain, the tall brunette looking at the moon princess with begging green eyes that matched the color of her transformation wand.
Please, Usagi-chan, just accept it. We'll still be your friends, and we can still meet up for meetings, but all you need to do is stay away from the battles.
Usagi's eyes narrowed, a frown on her face. Surely Amy couldn't feel that she needed protection. Could she? Turning to the blue-haired senshi, the princess was startled to see Amy breaking down in tears. She took a Sharpie. She took a Sharpie and just started writing on her face, like that one part in what was it, episode 5 of Sword Art Online Abridged.
Just to let the audience know, these are all Matt screwing up and not the actual.
Yes, I know. Again, it's 11:03 at night.
It's midnight for me.
Okay, well, you don't need to show off. She took a shaky step closer to the Guardian of Mercury, hand stretched out to comfort her, but Amy slapped her hand away, sobs shaking her frame.
I'm sorry, Usagi-chan.
The genius blurted out, tears running down her face.
Mako-chan and Miyako-chan, they're both right. You need to be safe and protected.
The girl leapt to her feet, throwing her arms around Usagi in a rare act of affection for the other girl.
I'm sorry,
She repeated, sobbing into Usagi's shoulder.
Forgive me, Usagi. I'm sorry.
Shaking her head frantically, Usagi shrugged Amy off, stumbling back with her ear. Shaking her head frantically, Usagi shrugged Amy off, stumbling back with her eyes wide. She whispered softly. Excuse me, you didn't whisper that, Sky? It says she whispered softly, so you're gonna have to whisper, man.
Okay, well, damn it.
Like, lean into your mic. Like, try to kiss it.
Kiss it? That's like the weirdest thing. Probably. Okay, fine.
Sad violin intensifies.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Okay.
She whispered softly. She shook her head, her long blonde pigtail swinging in the air. Excuse me, I don't appreciate the fact that you're constantly laughing over my mistakes. Okay.
I don't even know how to respond to that. I won't.
She shouted out.
Just no. First of all, I think my voice is gonna crack.
I think you're going to kill his voice if that happens.
Yeah, you're right. Her brooch, pinned on the front of her uniform, gleamed, the crystal inside responding to her distress.
You need me!
She cried out.
We're a team.
Fresh tears stinging her eyes. She bit back the sob that was going to escape her, and she tried to reason with her friends yet again.
We're supposed to work together.
With each word, her voice grew softer and softer.
Please, reconsider.
Minako looked to be fighting back tears of her own as she shook her head full of long, lustrous blonde hair.
I'm sorry, Usagi-chan.
She apologized. The girl gave a sideways glance to Makoto, who was busy consoling the hysterical Amy.
But you're in too much danger to be on the battlefield. You're our princess. We're supposed to keep you safe.
I
What was
detect the thoughtiness in her voice. Be gone, thought.
Be gone, thought!
Be gone, thought!
As she spoke, her hand reached out to gently clasp Usagi's shoulder.
Be reasonable.
This is you said that. This is legitimate proof that God doesn't exist.
In before the scene from what is it, The Crucible? God doesn't God isn't, or it's the scene right at the end. God doesn't.
I didn't mean to come in this video, but I am anyway, so I don't care.
Special guest cameo from
Riley.
Ichigo. Just call me Ichigo. That's better.
Special guest from Ichigo. Okay.
Oh my god.
Special guest cameo. Alright. Usagi didn't move, her fists slowly clenching tighter and tighter, as what the senshi said drilled itself into her mind.
Oh my god.
It straight up just drilled into her head. Yep, okay, cannon. Head cannon. Took a straight up, someone just straight up took a drill into her head. Doesn't kill her because this is anime logic. All right, straight up just shoves fucking whatever they're trying to. That's head cannon now.
Question: by drilling something into her head, does that make her, by definition, smarter or just 0.1% dumber?
Try 100% dumber.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
All around me are familiar.
All around me are familiar faces.
What type of voice is that?
She spat as coldly as she could manage, her hands slapping Makoto's away.
Minako's.
Minako's. Did I say Makoto?
You said Makoto.
She repeated louder, much to the astonishment of the others, who, she bet, were probably expecting her to cry and give in.
I'm not gonna stand down.
She hissed at them.
And I'm not going down without a fight. Okay, this is me again, I forgot. Usagi.
Ray stepped in, and with a fierce glare, silently ordered Minako to step back. Much to the Moon Princess's surprise, the blonde obeyed, joining Makoto and Amy, soon breaking down along with the blue-haired genius.
Be reasonable, Ondongo Atama. Ogando At.
Odongo Atama?
Ondongo Atama.
Sounds like some knuckles right there.
What's this called?
Queen. The raven-haired priestess stated sharply, crossing her arms over her chest.
I don't want to have to force you out of here too. Don't bother.
Usagi snapped at the priestess angrily.
I'm leaving. You always wanted me to follow you? Well, now I am. But I'm never coming back.
Ooh. Plot twist.
It's the top 10 anime portrayals of 2018. At number 100, At number 1, it's the Burger King foot lettuce. Good night.
Okay. The princess's fade turned impassive as she took a step back. She turned her back onto the four, as well as the two cats, who still hadn't spoken a word yet. She took a few steps towards the door, but just as she was going to walk out, she turned back to face them, her eyes narrowed in anger.
If this is the way you want it, then so be it.
The princess spat, her eyes hardened into icy blue rocks.
But one day, I swear on the name of the moon that I'll show you my work as a senshi, and I'll make you regret doing this to me.
She whipped back around, her long hair slicing through the air. Storming out, the door slammed forcefully behind her, nearly splintering it into small pieces.
Damn!
Whoa. Okay.
Whoa.
Does Maggie have that much strength to shatter a door into tiny pieces?
Is that enough evidence for you? Bring her back.
Okay, either she's really strong or the door's really weak.
Well, it is only paper and pieces of bamboo, so.
Okay, that's probably the reason why. Artemis and Luma. Artemis. Did I say Luma?
Luma, it's Luna.
Luna? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, this has been a long recording, alright. Long day. Artemis and Luna stared after her, their eyes filled with regret and pity for the princess. Both cats looked at each other, then transformed themselves into their human forms. Artemis headed over to comfort Minako, while Luna walked over to Rei, who by now had started shaking with fresh tears in her eyes. Luna clapped a hand onto Rei's shoulder.
It's okay.
The woman gently said to the priestess. Luna's long, deep black curls fell over her shoulder as she continued to speak with the raven-haired girl. Artemis gently soothed Minako, his hands gently rubbing her back as he looked back to his partner.
Think about this for a second. These are cats rubbing humans.
Do I sense bestiality?
Artemis, get your hands off Minako. You're getting a little too touchy.
Luna met his gaze, eyes regretful. Both knew that they had done what was needed to make their princess stronger.
Right, yeah, sure. Like, they're strong enough to literally want to murder you all. Great job.
Okay, that took 31 minutes. All right.
Oh my god!
I think we made good on time.
Yep, okay. Yeah. I can't wait to spend most of my day tomorrow editing. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks to all the people for showing up. This was probably one of the more funny fanfiction videos I've done in a while. So, yeah, thank you all to you. Go check out the Sailor Moon fan dub wherever that is. One of you guys give me a link so I can put it in the link in the description. Link in the description below. Ooh. Anyways, yeah, so, yeah. How many more times can I awkwardly stutter in a sentence while trying to do an outro? Who knows? I should just have a counter of how many times I say Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.